Right, good morning guys. Right, this is the breakfast wash up I promised you guys. I can hear Snoop coming through. Here he comes. He's probably going to want to go up the garden again. Hello fella. Do you want to go up the garden or are you just coming to say hello? Do you want to go up the garden? What do you want? Do you want to go up the garden? Go on then, off you go. Come on, there's a good boy. Right, Snoop's out. Shut the door, otherwise he'll kick it open and knock the camera. Right, where's my gloves? So, it doesn't look like it's very windy out there. I was looking at the trees in my next door neighbour's garden. The leaves aren't moving at all, so it looks like it's windless, not particularly warm. So I'll probably wrap up, go out for a walk. I will get hot, I know I will, I always do. There's Snoop outside having a drink. I'll just move the selfie stick nearer the door. There you go. So this is the wash up from yesterday. A few more cups to do, a few more plates to do, that's better. It's worth doing. Oh, this is lovely. You know I love doing my wash ups. I just find it so relaxing. Just satisfying, I don't know why. I used to, my old property when I was married had a beautiful garden. And I used to love working in the garden, and I could spend all day in my garden. It was a big garden. And I could spend all day in there, and it was so satisfying at the end of the day just to sit back and look at what you'd accomplished. The only problem is a week later you'd be doing it all again. But it was a lovely garden, absolutely gorgeous. This was a typical ex-council house that had a garden that was like an allotment. You'd never get those these days, obviously land being what it is. They'd have squeezed so many houses onto the same site nowadays. I went to a council property in Kings Lynn, outside Kings Lynn, a place called Castle Rising. And I had to go to pick up some parts for a car. And when I turned up at the council house address, the council house that I went to was right on the edge of a brand new estate. And I went and saw the fella and we were having a chat. I've got my bits for the car. We're having a chat. And he said that the council want to buy all the old council houses back. He said what they do, he said they offer you a brand new house if you will let them take your house. So you take a brand new house and they have your old one. And what they were doing, and they'd done half the estate already, is that they would knock the whole estate down, or knock a big part of it down, and then rebuild, but they'd put twice as many houses on the same site. So they had all very small gardens, next to no parking, whereas his was the old council house, had a large drive, massive parking, big front garden, big back garden. He said if he took a brand new house, he said he'd lose all that. He said he'd have 1.5 parking spaces and a small garden. And he said, so I'm not selling up. He said, they can't make you sell. He said, and quite a few of the residents who'd been offered the same had said the same, that they didn't want to have a small pokey little house with a small garden. Here comes Snoop. You hear him knock in a minute, you listen, he'd bang on the door. So he decided he wasn't going to sell up. So half the estate was brand spanking new and the other half was the old council houses. And I must admit, I preferred his old council house. It's a lovely big property. A lot of maintenance though, like my old property, big garden, lots of maintenance. And you do spend a lot of time in your garden. And now I can remember when my mum and dad, they bought a beautiful little bungalow in a village location. And it had a very, very small garden. It was a peculiar sized plot as well. It was like a triangular plot on the edge of a field. And so they had a word with the farmer. That's Snoopy knocking. Let me just grab the door, guys. They had a word with the farmer about it, and the farmer sold them a slither of land to square their garden off. Come on in, you come. Good boy. Right, Snoop's in. And so they had a square garden. It looked really nice. But it was garden. It wasn't anything other than garden. So it was all set out to garden. Then one of their neighbours had a strip of land that ran down the length of the road behind all the other properties. And they were the very last property in the row that his land came to. And so they asked him if they could buy a little bit of his land to square the garden off a little bit more. And he said yes. And so they had part of his garden. So that gave him an even bigger plot. And then behind that was a big field. And it was part of a farm. and the farm hadn't been used for years. It was owned by a builder, and the builder used it for storage purposes, for bricks and sand and roof tiles, that sort of thing. But he'd put in for planning permission to build a whole load of houses. And the council kept turning them down. He kept applying, they kept turning them down. And eventually the council turned around and said to him, there's no way you will ever get permission to build properties on that bit of land. And so what he did then, the builder approached all the other properties along the road who backed onto his land, and he offered to sell them a strip of land to make their gardens even longer. So my mum and dad did that. They had this huge garden. I mean, it was huge, which was lovely when they were younger. It was fine. But they would spend all day, virtually every day, out in the garden, tending the garden. It was such a big garden, it was constant maintenance. And it got to the stage where it was becoming too much for them, and that's why they ended up selling their house and moving to where they are now. So they did really well when they bought it. It was the house itself, when they bought it, was brand spanking new, never been lived in. It had been purchased by a gentleman who wanted to build a house for him and his wife. They bought the plot of land and they put the caravan on the site, and they were living in the caravan on the plot. And the council came along to them and said, you know, you've got to start building. So they put the foundations down, because that then meant you'd made a start on it, and the council left them alone. Anyway, they stayed there like that for years before the council turned around and said to them, look, if you don't build this bungalow, we're going to take away your planning permission. So this person and his wife, who were living in the caravan, built the bungalow. Unfortunately, the gentleman's wife fell ill towards the end of the build, and she passed away. And so this gentleman was left up there in his little caravan all on his own with this bungalow that was just about finished, but he didn't have the heart, or didn't want to move into the bungalow. So after he spent all that time living on that plot and building the bungalow, he decided he didn't want to live there, not without his wife. So he moved on. My mum and dad bought the bungalow, and like I said, it was brand new, never been lived in. They finished it off. It was only a little bit of decorating they had to do to finish it, and they moved into it. And I moved into it with them because I was still living at home at the time. And it was a lovely, lovely bungalow. It was a 2-bedroom bungalow with a double garage built onto it. First bungalow I've ever lived in, and it was so nice. So nice, not having to go up and down the stairs. It was really easy. And the double garage, my dad had a car and I had a car. My mum didn't drive at the time, but she did later on. So I lived with them there for 5 years before I moved out and moved in with my now ex-wife. But then they eventually, when the garden became too much for them, they sold up and they moved to a brand new bungalow again, but with a small garden, small front garden, small back garden, and that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect for them. But saying that, even now they've reduced the size of their garden by having artificial grass put down, and a patio and a shingle area. So there's next to no maintenance in the back garden at all, apart from weeding a border, which is a raised one. That's it. And the front garden is just grasses, long grasses, and a little bit of grass out the front, which actually belongs to the council, but my mum and dad have always maintained it, because the council around here don't tend to cut the grass particularly often. I think they only have to cut it so many times a year, and it made the property look unkept. So my dad always cut the grass out the front as well, which I've now started doing for him. But he hasn't asked me so much this year, I think partly because one of my sisters pops around and does it for him as well, and partly because it hasn't grown much this year. We've had quite a dry spell and it hasn't really grown that much, and I think my dad does cut it every now and again on his own. So yeah, I don't know where this was all leading to, how I got onto this subject. Garden size, I don't know. So yes, I do love my gardens, and I find them very relaxing to work on. Unfortunately, the garden I've got here is a nightmare. It is so full of rubble and concrete. If you dig anywhere in my garden, you will either hit patio, stone, brick, all sorts. The garden is just a minefield of concrete, and it's just covered with a thin layer of dirt, and the grass that does grow is very clumpy. And I did try sowing grass seed on it last year. Late last year, November last year, I sowed the whole garden with grass, and next to none of it took, because the ground is so poor. So I think all I'm going to do in my garden here is just keep it short, just cut it and keep it short, and just maintain it, keep it as it is. But I don't think I could ever make anything of it, because I think to do anything, you'd have to probably put down maybe 6 inches of topsoil on top of all that rubbish that's underneath. You certainly couldn't dig it all out, and the only access into my back garden is down an alleyway between the houses. So if you did get topsoil in, you'd have to wheelbarrow it all through from the road into the back garden, and that would be an absolute killer. I don't think I'll ever even consider doing that. My next door neighbour did. My next door neighbour, a fellow called Charlie, he got a huge selection or huge quantity of topsoil delivered, and him and his relatives worked in a teamwork, barrowing it through down the alleyway past me, through my back garden, because to get access to his garden he has to go through my garden to build his garden up, which he did, and it looked really nice. But he put a lot of soil up against his fencing and gravel boards, and it's cracked the gravel boards, and it's pushing the gravel boards into my garden because we're on a bit of a hill, and so his gravel boards are all cracked and they're getting pushed into my garden. So anyway, I'll stick to washing up. Right, here we go. Oh. Right. So I see I had a little bit of washing to do. I've got 3 plates, 1 saucer, 2 bowls. Oh, 2 bowls or 1 bowl? 1 bowl and 1 soup mug from yesterday. Might have soup again today, or could have my cheese on toast, couldn't I? Yay. It's Sunday after all. The boys are lovely. Snoop was on the sofa under the duvet. He climbed out, had his bit of toast, jumped back on the sofa and was uncovered. And then when I came through into the front room, I threw the duvet over again, and I didn't think he'd move, but he has come out and he's been up the garden. So I should imagine he's probably back in the front room on the sofa again. But I haven't looked yet. I'll go and look in a minute. Right, we're going to do a country walk today. Going to take the boys right out in the sticks, guys. Do a nice long walk today. That's that one. Right. Do my dog's bowls, and then I'll do some plastic containers that have got to go in the recycle, and that's it. We are done. This is lovely. Can't hear anything. I still haven't heard from Skippy this morning. It'll be about lunchtime for Skippy now, I think, or be after lunch, won't it? What's the time now? 8:30 now. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 in the evening now for Skippy. So yeah, she's probably packing her bags. I'm not sure how far the airport is from where she is. I know she got picked up from the airport by her brother when she landed. So I imagine they're probably sorting something similar to go and getting a lift to the airport. But she hasn't messaged me to tell me where she is at the moment. I'm sure she's fine. I'm sure she's got a busy day packing up, probably a bit tearful as well, I should imagine. And somebody sent a message saying that could be the last time she ever goes back to Oz. I don't think it will be. I think she will go back again, but her parents are both aged, and they're both suffering with one thing or another, like we all do. And yeah, I think that's in the back of her mind that, you know, maybe the next time she goes out there it might not be for particularly good reasons, but I hope not. It comes to us all, unfortunately, guys. Right, okay. I think we are done. Just let my bubbles go. I've got a bit too much washing up liquid in there, I think. There it goes. Right. Okay, I'll put that over the taps, which are turned off, and that can drain like that. I'll just flick the kettle on again so I can take that upstairs with me with my aloe vera, have my shave, do my makeup, get myself toggled up, and me and the boys are going to be heading out. There we go, so all the washing's done. Yay! I have got lots of glass here today, glass bottles. Which I will need to take to the bottle bank, so I might take those with me when I take the boys out just to get rid of them. So something else I've got to remember, every time I go past the bottle bank I always go, oh, I should have brought my bottles out with me, so I think I'll try and do that today. Okay. Right, if I get my aloe vera out, take my apron off, we should just about be there. Perfect. Right, that's my aloe vera. There we go. Right, I'm ready to go upstairs, guys, so I'm going to have to turn this off now because I'm going to struggle carrying this all upstairs. Do my makeup, and then me and the boys can go out. So let me just tie my hair back. Right, we're done. Right, I shall say goodbye and I shall chat with you guys a little bit later. Okay, bye-bye.